Dear students, studying is organized process of understanding. Yes, student, you have to organize your plans every day. The process becomes interesting and captivating. Follow systematic studying methods. And remember, it's not the time to look for excuses. Hi, I am Kiran. In this series of biological lessons, I am starting with first chapter of class 12th, that is reproduction in organisms. All living organisms possess life cycle involving birth, growth, maturation, reproduction and death. So here reproduction is the basic important feature of all organisms. Reproduction is the most significant phase in the life cycle of organism. Dear student, let us emphasize definition of lifespan. What actually mean by the lifespan? Lifespan is nothing but it is the period of time between birth and natural death of an organism. It is the period of time between birth and natural death of an organism. Here student, birth and natural death, both of these terms are very important because birth and natural death decides lifespan of an organism, and hence you must have to mention that is birth and natural death whenever you are defining the lifespan. So that here the lifespan is nothing but it is the period of time between birth and natural death of an organism. Dear student, don't merely write it is the period of time of an organism. You must have to write how to mention birth and natural death, both of these terms, and hence the definition of lifespan will be meaningful. Dear student, the lifespans of different organisms differ. The lifespan varies from less than 1 day to more than 1000 years. Isn't it quite interesting fact? Dear student, let us focus on the lifespans of different organisms. Here some examples are enlisted. The lifespan of banana tree 25 years. Lifespan of banyan tree 200 to 300 years. Rose 5 to 7 days. Dog 20 to 30 years. Elephant 60 to 90 years. Dear student, one thing we must have to consider here, that is the organisms which are enlisted here are all having different size, and the lifespans of all these organisms also differs. Dear student, we can state that lifespans of all these organisms are not necessarily related with or not necessarily correlated with size and shape of an organism. Remember, I will repeat the statement. Lifespans of organisms are not necessarily correlated with sizes and shapes of organisms. Remember this. Let me justify this statement with example. Consider the parrot and crow here. The parrot and crow. Both of these are birds, but the color differs. Color of the parrot is green, whereas color of the crow is black. They are of the same size, they are of the almost same size. When it comes to the lifespan, of both of these birds, the lifespan of parrot is 140 years. The lifespan of parrot is 140 years and that of crow is 15 years. See, both of these are birds and almost all the size of both of these birds same, but the lifespan differs here. And hence we can justify that lifespans of organism not necessarily correlated with sizes and shapes of organisms. Dear student, let us consider still more examples of the organisms in relation with their lifespans. So here, fruit fly 30 years, cow 20 to 25 years, horse 20 to 25 years, rice plant 3 to 4 months, and lifespan of tiger is 8 to 10 years. Student, let me give you one more example to justify the statement, that is, lifespans of organisms are not necessarily correlated with sizes and shapes of an organism. Here one more example I do consider here. Take an example of mango tree and peepal tree. Examples are given here, mango tree and peepal tree. All of you might have seen mango tree which bears mango, which is known as king of fruits, isn't it? And also peepal tree. Many people worship this tree. Dear student, here lifespan of mango tree is 200 years and that of peepal tree is 2500 years. I am definitely surprised, are you not? One thing is certain, dear student, that is, whoever is born has to die one day. That is why here each and every organism restricted by their woven lifespan. So this is all of about lifespan of different organisms. Let us focus on another important feature of organism, that is what is called as reproduction. What is reproduction? Reproduction is the process by which an organism produces more individuals of the same kind. Reproduction ensures continuity of species generation after generation. Dear student, here in this definition there are two statements. In first statement, reproduction is the process by which an organism produces more individuals of the same kind. Remember, this is very important, more individuals of the same kind. Here reproduction is not only the biological process and it not only produces the organisms or offsprings, but whatever the offsprings produced in the reproduction are of the same kind. This is very important, are of the same kind. In the second sentence, reproduction ensures or enables, reproduction enhances continuity of species. Remember, it's very important. Continuity of races is very important. Reproduction ensures continuity of races or continuity of species generation after generation, from one generation to the next generation. So that's why, student, here in the first sentence, individuals of the same kind is very important. In the second sentence, ensures continuity of species. And you must have to write down these two factors whenever you are defining the reproduction. So that reproduction produces offsprings. Okay, but these offsprings are of the same kind. It's very important. And reproduction also enhances or enables continuity of species. This is also one more important factor of the reproduction. So that we can define the reproduction is a biological process in which what happens, individuals of the same kind are produced, and it also enables continuity of species. This is all of about reproduction. Dear student, reproduction again classified means we will find two types of reproduction. Let us consider those two types of reproduction. The classification of types of reproduction mainly based on involvement of one or two organisms. It is very important, student. How can we classify the types of reproduction? On what basis it is depends on? It depends on involvement of one or two organisms. This is the main factor on which classification of reproduction depends on. That is involvement of one or two organisms. On this basis, we can classify the reproduction in two types. Asexual reproduction. In asexual reproduction, when offspring is produced by a single parent, here the single parent produces offspring. Here in this asexual reproduction, single parent is involved. That is why it is called as uniparental. With or without the involvement of gamete. Dear student, here there is no gamete formation and there is no fusion of gametes. So three features you have to consider in describing asexual reproduction. In asexual reproduction, only one parent is involved. That is why it is a uniparental. There is no gamete formation and there is no fusion of gametes at all. So finally we can conclude that when offspring is produced by a single parent with or without the involvement of gamete formation is known as asexual reproduction. And what is sexual reproduction? In this sexual reproduction, two parents are involved. Remember students, two parents are involved. That is why it is called as a biparental reproduction. Two parents of different sex or opposite sex, that is male and female. So two parents of opposite sex participate in the reproductive process and also in fusion of gametes. So here in asexual reproduction, two parents involved, gametes formed, and fusion of gametes also very important. This is how we can differentiate asexual reproduction from sexual reproduction. Dear student, that's all for this video. In the later videos, we will discuss the important features of asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. Thank you.